There is a common misconception that if you graph climate change, the trend line looks like this. It's linear, right? It's not so bad, not so scary, as long as somebody does something before anything dangerous happens. But what most people don't realize is that it actually looks a lot more like this. And that's a little bit more frightening. I'm not making this up, keep in mind. But there's hope, right? As long as change happens before we enter the danger zone, everything will be fine. I don't want to burden your mind, but let me clarify. The 2020 Paris Agreement set the danger threshold at 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. This is the temperature at which human populations become significantly reduced due to unsafe living conditions. So, here is the danger zone. Here are the scientists trying to warn us, and here we are, 1.2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. We're really pushing our luck. And we still have our foot on the gas. We're thirsty for fossil fuels. We're still elbow deep in the cookie jar. The science predicts, for a likely chance of achieving the 2-degree target, societies can emit another 250 billion tons of carbon. We burn about 10 billion tons a year. At current rates, we will use this budget in about 25 years. Right now, we're already seeing the effects of these temperatures. Greenland is 30 feet thinner than it was 5 years ago. 50% of coral worldwide is dead due to rising ocean temperatures and increased acidity. And the streets of Miami Beach flood on every sunny day. The people who are witnessing these changes are scared. They come to us like the harbingers of the end, and we ignore them. It seems to me, in this age of material culture and immediate satisfaction, that when we talk about the state of the environment, the words me and now have disappeared from our cultural lexicon.
The maximum amount of carbon dioxide that can be in the atmosphere before it reaches irreversible climate change is 350 parts per million. The last time that this was breached was back in the Pliocene epoch, which was between 2.6 million years ago and 5.3 million years ago, until 2013. As depicted in this graph, you can see that the 2013 average of CO2 levels in the atmosphere was 395 parts per million. However, in the past 800,000 years, none of the averages reached anywhere near that. Since 2013, it is clearly shown in this graph that the average CO2 levels in the atmosphere are continuing to increase as the CO2 levels of production are also increasing. At a station in Mauna Loa, the monthly averages of CO2 levels in April of 2016 was 407.42 parts per million, and then just 1 year later rose about 2 points to 409.01 parts per million. If our civilization continues on its current path, researchers estimate that by the year 2100, the concentration of carbon dioxide in the Earth's atmosphere will reach somewhere between 550 parts per million and 900 parts per million. It is also notable that this rapid increase in carbon dioxide levels is taking place over only 100 years' time, and there has never been a change this dramatic in the past 800,000 years. Therefore, the only reasonable explanation for this is our society's overproduction of carbon dioxide. Given the history of climate change throughout the past 5 million years, it is becoming increasingly difficult for certain cultures that depend on climate and consistency in the weather in the regions in which they live to thrive, especially agriculturally. For example, Ben Orlov, a professor of environmental sciences from the University of California, and 2 of his colleagues in meteorology found that groups in the central Andes region of Peru depend greatly on the climate and environment in which they live in. For example, they use the Palladius star cluster for when they should start planting their potato crops. This also depends on whether the cluster can be seen vibrantly or cloudy. If it is cloudy and visibility is low, it hints towards the month of October being very irregular in precipitation, which could be detrimental to their potato crops. This is known as the El Niño phenomenon. Culture is important because it provides a certain group of people their own unique identity. Since some of these cultures are dependent on the environment in which they live in, If that environment changes, then it changes the whole identity of that culture.
So, do you guys know what's been going on with the environment lately? It seems whoever I talk to, no one's been up to date with the environmental crises that have been going on. They aren't aware of what a critical state our ecosystems around the world are in, despite new developments and environmental tragedies around the world. The environment has been neglected ever since the dawn of civilization. Allow me to demonstrate. This is from lack of attention. Let's say this is a field. Beautiful, right? We've known this field for years, but lately plants have becoming overgrown. Animals are leaving. And there's garbage everywhere. The issue stems from lack of attention. It's like when John Medina, the author of Brain Rules, says, we must be aware of something for it to grab our attention. Or we don't pay attention to boring things. Or if you have an interest in a subject, you tend to pay more attention to things related to that subject. To stop the neglect affecting the environment, you need to raise awareness about it and make it interesting. This is why Sarah McLachlan is so good at making people aware of the environment and animal tragedies, and making them remember. Emotions get our attention. John Medina, Brain Rules. Because McLachlan plays an incredibly sad song while forcing the viewer to look at pictures of abused animals, she immediately grabs and keeps the viewer's attention by maintaining a steady flow of starving puppy and kitten videos, or images. Which is why anyone who has seen this commercial remembers it so well and has had their soul torn forcibly from their body. And it's reasons like that that we have to pay attention to the environment, because inaction can be deadly, and it stems from lack of attention. So, what do you think about the environment now?
Ugh, are you kidding me again with all this fake news stuff? Why can't people see climate skeptics are the real fake news? And I think it's time that we start showing them that. But how can I make them see? I'm only involved in the arts. I'm not a part of any political or news platform. I could take the route of writer Rachel Boast, who wrote the poem Silent Sea. Another vessel sheds the chrome of its silver mile until a mile meanders into 3, triples again over the reef. Nothing can breathe under oil nor register that dark membrane's slick oversight. We were the first cracking the hull of the earth open, our foolish husbandry, a metallurgy that's brimmed with false gold too often. We can talk and talk and talk, but a ship in space manned by non-thinking from non-feelings is absolutely nothing at all. Or maybe the avenue of nature photographer Justin Hoffman, who captured the recently viral picture of the seahorse carrying the Q-tip. Who almost wishes he hadn't captured the picture, because it pains him to see the oceans and the earth as a whole treated so poorly. As an underwater photographer, however, he sees an unspeakable amount of trash and debris in the ocean. Sadly, and also luckily, this picture has spread like wildfire, giving a visual example of the mistreatment of our earth and how it's going to affect us. In an article that featured Hoffman, the alarming statistic that it is possible that by 2050 there will be more plastic in the sea than fish came to the forefront. Hoffman doesn't want the attention geared towards him or care about the accolades of his photography. He just wishes that, as humans, we can wisen up to the fact that we're hurting our planet and the other things that inhabit it. Maybe I can do something after all. No matter the platform you use, change can, must, and will be started by a determined voice.